which the Ndombele's of this world don't give you because he's not that kind of player. So when you see the doc, and what a lot of people don't even realise is because for whatever reason, and it makes no sense because I'm sat here watching Wolves now, and he's Wolves' third top goal scorer last season, caused us all sorts of problems when he came and played at Tottenham Stadium. Yeah. And he was great going forward. Now, he's like, he just doesn't ever want to get out of his own half. He cuts back inside all the time. And what that was just doing yesterday was just they targeted that area and they got joy time and time again. Gareth Bale is not going to go and do loads of shuttles. I don't want him to. He's a Ferrari. Yeah. I want to drive the Ferrari like a Ferrari. I'm not going to start going around town in it at 5 miles an hour. What's the point? Get someone else in to do that. So, yeah. And the other thing is as well, Serge Aurier will give away a stupid penalty, probably headbutt someone and get sent off or something stupid. Like, that's the kind of player he is. If he got rid of that out of his game, he'd be a really good player. But he's not going to get mugged off by Kieran Tierney like that. That was embarrassing. No. Like, he got bullied. How are you getting bullied by Tierney? That was really bad. And that was a one-on-one. Doesn't matter what you say, that's your responsibility as a fullback. And, yeah, I think that's why, for me, you know, that it's when you're watching that game yesterday, and it's happened a few times this season, you look at it and go, is it the players or is it the manager? If Alistair Gold's saying that, then you're thinking, well, it's not the coaching staff. They're telling him to get forward. However, the buck lies with Jose because he's choosing the wrong players. Because Serge goes forward, and he's got the ability to, and he's got the power to.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so, totally agree with all of that. And, you know, for the goal that they scored in the first half, Doherty he was one-on-one. You know, so for what you said about Bale and not wanting him to track back or whatever, he didn't need to track back in that scenario because actually Doherty's one-on-one. And to be beaten so easily by Tierney was just disgraceful. Doherty's come out and said that he's a wing-back and not a full-back. Now, like, he can't have started his career as a wing-back because wing-backs were only, like, trendy in the last 5 or so years. So wherever the fuck has he been? What's he been doing for the last, you know, prior to that time to say, well, actually, you know, as a defender, I don't know how to defend. So,
yeah, but he was in the lower divisions of Wolves then, wasn't he? So
but you'd need to
it's
defend
a bit
more.
different.
You still need to defend, wouldn't you? He has to be a defender.
Yeah, but you're not up against the quality that you get in the Premier League, are you?
The principle of 1v1 defending has got to be the same, surely. The winger is going to try and get on the outside of you and get a crossing. It's whether you're like, you know, my team, my girls' team, you know, the players they're up against, they want to do the same thing. Get on the outside, get a crossing. We want our players to get on the outside and get a crossing. It's not, you know, that part of it's not rocket science. No. That's just basic defending.
And you go to the Palace game and the goal Benteke scores in that first half.
It's
same
exactly
side,
the same.
Cross,
exactly the
goal.
same.
And
he
so
he doesn't get close enough to him.
If we're sitting here talking about this, about Doherty, and I'd say 90% of the fans are, how can Jose Mourinho not see that? And the other thing for me is, twice this season he's taken Jaffet off at half time. So why not take Doc off? It wasn't working. You don't take Gareth Bale off because that first goal comes from a beautiful crossfield ball from Gareth Bale, pinpoint accurate to Reggie. And then it starts moving. Yeah, he's got the ability. If he was still on that pitch for those last couple of free kicks, we might have had a goal.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense. And you know, I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and it's his first season. But the whole point of buying an established Premier League right back is they come out the blocks flying. Yeah. And all the Doc's done, good for me, is he's made Serge better. That's what he's done.
Yes. The thing is, though, when you look at Doherty, you don't really see the type of defender that Jose's had with previous clubs. No. So was it his buy, or was it someone else who thought, well, there's a deal going on there, let's do it?
Well, yes, Mendes, isn't it? He's the they both share the same agent. They're both under the same agent, aren't they? So that's got something to do with it.
That was just a convenient buy, wasn't it?
I'm just happy that we didn't pay 35 million for Doherty.
Yeah.
But I think Madge is right. You know, I mean, in terms of, and this is something I wanted to touch on. Where is ruthless Jose gone? Where's ruthless Mourinho gone? That would have just whipped him off. You know, he's got beat twice by Tierney, bin him off. You know, I don't understand how he's sacrificing Bale rather than saying, do you know what, Doherty, you've got to come off. Aurier, I don't know what Aurier's done to piss him off, but bring Aurier on. He's better defensively, and you never thought this time last year you'd be saying that about anyone coming in and competing with Doherty, that actually Aurier is the better choice out of the two. He would have given us that a bit more defensive stability, and then we go forward from there. I was a bit when Son had to go off, and it turned out okay, but when Son had to go off and Lamela came on, I was a bit disappointed because I knew that Mora would have to come out of the middle, which is where he's been causing so much
exactly,
so much like damage, as Madge said, to in previous games. And when in the last 15 minutes when he went back through the middle,
when Lamela got sent off, he was good again because he was back through a lot of problems. Here's a question I want to throw at you guys, right? Someone on the Walker just went on. One of my boys said about Kyle Walker, because obviously at Man City now, Kyle Walker's second fiddle to Cancelo, right? Would you take Kyle Walker back?
Yes.
That's what I'm like. We've never replaced Kyle Walker. We've never replaced Kyle Walker, Stace.
Yeah.
Well, we have got with Reggie another Danny Rose, haven't we? So Danny Rose and Kyle Walker. But if you're going to talk about the back line again, with Jan Vertonghen left-footed, Toby right-footed.
It's more than that. It's this. I'll let you go on bang on about your left foot, right foot in a sec. Mate, but
the balance was brilliant with them four at the back with Kyle Walker, Danny Rose. We've never got that back. We're having to make do with Toby as a right-footed centre back playing in the left side position.
I don't know if I've still got the stats, but like Man City, predominantly Man City's predominant centre back pairing, right, is Dias and Stones, right? Yeah. Both of them are right-footed. So I don't think this left foot right thing is as important as you're saying it is. Like in terms of balance, I think it's the intelligence of the players and the balance across the back.
It's how you play football as well, though. They keep the ball.
Yeah, they do.
It's a different footballing style. They're not under the cosh all the time, Steve.
But Stace, Man United are two right-footers.
Yeah, they're trying to change it. They're going to buy a left-footed centre-back.
Man United are second in the league and they've got two right-footers. Leicester third in the league and they've got two right-footers. It's not as big a deal.
Chelsea.
As you're making,
we 9 times out of 10 we're sitting back allowing the pressure. Teams are pressurising us. And you can't. Toby is an intelligent footballer. It's just Sanchez.
I think they're being let down. They're being let down by the fact that we don't have, as we mentioned, when it was Kyle Walker and Danny Rose, both sides of the park the other team have to worry about. Now it's like being a boxer. It's like we're not attacking on our front foot. Like we're waiting for people to come at us. And then that is so hard to get into a football game like that because when you're just allowing people to come onto you, you get no rhythm in your game. Especially if you're a more attacking-minded player. That's why Højbjerg, first game of the season against Everton was awful, right? And on our podcast, we said he looked like Stefan Freund. And then obviously he started being good and was like sick. Yesterday, he was useless because he never had a moment to just literally just settle and just have a bit of time on the ball and move forward and start pressing the play on because they kept going down that same side. Whereas we could have got at them. Arsenal are weak defensively. How are we not trying to exploit that with the players that we've got? And I just think that comes from when you're under the cosh and you're on down one side, everyone is like literally moving over to that side to try and compensate. And you could see it with the way that we were playing.
But Tanguy yesterday, he's not working hard enough back, is he?
Exactly.
He's not working hard. He's not the dynamic midfielder next to Pierre.
Exactly that.
I think
that's the question I'm going to ask. That's the question I would ask. That we criticise Sissoko and we criticise Winks, for example, and for all the criticism that Mourinho's had, he's about being defensive and stuff. You can't accuse him of being defensive when actually what he's done is he's taken his number 10 and put his number 10 in at number 8 alongside his number 4. So we've got actually one holding midfielder and one attacking midfielder playing alongside him as a holding midfielder to then put in 4 players ahead. So my question is Højbjerg suffering from a lack of support from like a Sissoko or a Winks type player in there that the player that actually
takes some pressure from them.
Yeah, but the fans get on. get on the back of all the time. He's shit, that player shit, but actually takes some of the workload away from Højbjerg. So he's not doing the job of two players effectively, in terms of that cover. Because with Ndombele, and then Ndombele doesn't offer the same support and balance and cover, excuse me, that a Sissoko or a Winks would do.
I think that's a good point, Steve, because I think Højbjerg does tend to try and do too much in the defensive role, and I think he needs someone quite similar to him to be able to play an interlock in that position. Because with Sissoko, he has someone that keeps creeping forward. With Winks, you've got someone who can't defend particularly well, but he can pass the ball.
Yeah.
And so, we just don't really have the players at the moment to reach probably the level that Jose wants to play at. And I think that's half the problem. That's why we get pushed back a lot. That's why we can't get out of our area, because we just don't have the players he needs.
Okay, so that brings us probably nicely on to our first question from Twitter, which comes from Brendan from BMC Gertie. You'll know him, Madge, obviously. You've been on his podcast last week or so. So his question was, with Skippy tearing it up in the Championship, do we bring him back next season? And if we do, would he be Højbjerg's understudy backup, or does a world exist with them both playing together in a double pivot? He also says, big up Madge and the Var side boys. There's a whole lot of bigging up going on, so this is obviously a thing with you.
Lots of big ups. The king of the big up. The thing with Oliver Skipp is, and this is just very Spurs of us to do it. We're looking at he's doing well at Norwich. Let's get him back. Let's get him in. Listen, right? Tottenham Hotspur fans have started to create this sort of real sense of expectations, right? They're like, we have to be in the Champions League. We're a top six club. That's undoubted. But, we want to be in the Champions League. We want to be competing. We were top of the league at Christmas. Normally, the people that are top of the league at Christmas can go on to win it, but we're not in that mixer. So is Oliver Skipp the way forward for Tottenham Hotspur when you're trying to better yourself as a club? Listen, Oliver Skipp's clearly a good football player. You don't get to the levels that you're at such a young age unless you're good. However, I think Oliver Skipp is in the exact same mould as Harry Winks, Ryan Mason, all of these players. They are just basic players who do a job, and they're like the clubmen. Like Harry Winks, I said on the podcast, Harry Winks, like them Ben Davies, them guys, they're blatantly picking up the cones after training. They're making tea for everyone. They're just nice guys. I'm not here for that. Like, if we're going to...
Have you watched him play at Norwich, Gents?
Yeah, I watched him. Yeah, he's been...
a couple of times. He keeps the ball really well. He keeps the ball
really well.
It's hard to get it off of him. I'm telling you, he's a little bit better than... He's better than Winks.
I watched him.
He's a classy player, yeah.
However, Winks against Juventus, Winks against Real Madrid, we was all jumping up and down saying how class he is. And I said this the other day. I'm going to rewatch that game now with a different perspective, because we're forgetting at the time he's playing next to Moussa Dembele. Like,
But isn't that part of it? Isn't that part of it that it's about finding those cogs that fit together? For example, when Liverpool went out, they went out and bought Wijnaldum and Robertson from Championship sides, which we looked at. What Spurs fans are like. Fucking Wijnaldum, Robertson.
What a joke,
right? But it was about fitting them into a system and making that system better and letting them flourish within that system. Now, what I actually expected you to say about Skippy, because I watched Skippy play, but only probably once or twice. And one game that I watched him play was against Swansea, where he got hooked, and he was absolutely awful, I thought. But he won a lot of man of the match. He's winning a lot of man of the match awards, online.
That's the games I've seen him play.
Because the Spurs fans are going onto their polls and voting for him man of the match. Now, if we then go back and say, well, actually, he's been man of the match 20 times or whatever this season, but actually every poll has been rigged by Spurs fans. by the time when he comes back, we're going to be disappointed because actually he might be, as you say, just Joe average. You know,
I think he needs to play for Norwich next year in the Premiership.
I think that's what he needs. I think he needs to be playing up at this level for Norwich